That's the great thing about being your own boss. I can take time to make my tea, put on different pants. Spend 15 minutes looking for a USB hub so I can hook up the keyboard, only to find that I can find the hub, but not the power for it, amongst other myriad irritations. Oh yeah, Keep's here for the start of the stream. That's crazy. You gotta maintain some anonymity there. Alec B. Oh, jeez. Yeah, definitely not. Well, no, the VODs don't keep the chat, though. And, well, if you download them anyway, they don't. Do they if you go watch them back on Twitch? Because I've just been downloading them all. Hold on a minute. I'm going to get... Oh, man. I'm going to get the Vantage since we've only had this back for a few days. I haven't played it in like a year. Ugh, man. So what y'all up to? Am I an audiophile? If I had enough money, I would be. I mean, I have a pretty good collection between myself and my dad of a lot of vintage higher-end stereo equipment. It's still in stoner tuning. There's definitely a difference. Definitely a difference. The more important question is how big of a difference is there between, you know, a $300, $400 pair of headphones and the $1,200 pair of headphones. How much difference is there between a $100 pair of headphones and a $300 pair of headphones? There's a point where diminishing returns definitely tend to kick in. If Ride pops in, Ride had some really nice headphones. Let's see, where's our... Yeah, if you're only listening to MP3s. On like a $6 dollar store MP3 player. Oh, we're still on the gain channel. bad Grimm's not here, because Grimm seems to really like the stoner metal tones and stoner metal vibes. And this guitar, for the most part, I've pretty much dedicated to that stuff. It's got a bad pot, though, that tends to, like, if you go too far, it cuts out a little bit. But like it's got the chunk. No, last week was Metal Monday, right? So today was either going to be Music Theory Monday or Mellow Monday or whatever. But the chart I was trying to make was a pain in the butt. So I gave up. The chart I was trying to make for Music Theory Monday. So I gave up, and I'll make it for 2 weeks from now. I've never been much of one for smoking. Now, you got some nice edibles or something. Just play a sleep song. The entire stream is just, you know, a 3-hour sleep jam. Katanas are pretty nice amps, actually. Pretty nice amps. Depending on which one you get to, they have a ton of features for the price. This is a good guitar. Let me update the guitar command. This is from about 1982, 83. really is just an oddly inspiring guitar. I think I got this guitar for $130 at Guitar Center, um, in the used section. But pretty much every time I play it, I have a really good time. Playing doesn't sound as clean as you want it to. So, I mean, usually, if you mean that it sounds like sloppy, buzzy, that kind of thing, that tends to be technique. And holding it at a different angle actually can help in some cases, especially if you have problems with reach, versus trying to wear it, say, almost perfectly perpendicular like this. Tilting it up various amounts can kind of free your wrist up to come up underneath the neck. Wearing it at the right height can help too. If you're wearing it super low, that can make it more difficult to play cleanly. No, it's a set neck. This is a set neck. It's basically, it was kind of a copy of a Gibson The Paul, which were kind of like slab-bodied, either mahogany or walnut-bodied, Les Paul-shaped guitars. I actually had one, but I sold it because this was better. That nice harmonic major sound. Yeah, the super low guitar thing, it's just flat out bad for you. Like, it's bad for your wrists. It's pretty amazing that some people manage to play fairly competently with that type of position too. Like, through sheer force of will. I mean, that was something that I kind of figured out and changed really quickly. You know, when I got my very first guitar, came with like an Ernie Ball black nylon strap. And so, you know, I thought, well, okay, I'm tall, I got long arms, I'm going to wear it, you know, way low. Because I want to play metal. And probably took less than 2 weeks to start raising it up and raising it up and raising it up and raising it up. you definitely like. You really, really don't want it perpendicular, perfectly perpendicular. That's just going to kill your wrist too, for the most part. There's 5-pounders, there's 7.5-pounders, there's 10-pounders, there's 15 pounds. There's a whole set of scattered weights that I've gotten at yard sales over the years over there, kind of piled up in that general area. That room mostly contains stuff from my family's upholstery business. So there's a lot of fabric, the curtain rods. So we do custom window treatments and draperies and that kind of stuff too. There's a whole bunch of stuff related to that in that room. Like if we were to take down the backdrop here, you'd see a ton of fabric in particular. Hey Rexify, yeah, I remember you. How are you? Yeah, the floral gems were like literally curtains or something, weren't they? Yeah, I remember most people who've posted in chat at some point or another. I've been doing okay. As you can see, we got a pretty hefty camera upgrade a couple weeks ago. So much improved video quality. You redeemed to pick a pedal. Did you mean to do that? Because we have, yeah, as Ofasad just posted, we have a whole list of pedals. If you didn't mean to, I can refund those points to you, though. It's not a problem. There's not even a metal zone on the list. You missed it, dude. If you'd been here Friday night, there was a free Christmas kitty. Check out Rexify. Check out the Google Doc. Posted a couple posts up. That's a list of I think every pedal I have right now, or very nearly. such a juicy sounding guitar. No, I actually don't. I don't have a wah pedal at all. I'm not a big wah pedal fan. I have an auto wah, an envelope filter, that'll, you know, do our wow 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 type stuff. But not like a foot controlled one. Alright, Boss C3. Okay, give me a sec. Oof. Yeah, but one of Alex's favorites. Let me go dig it. Actually, let's do this. Just take the strap off and set this on the couch. I'll go get it out of the pedal cabinet. We were getting a little bit of noise from this power adapter last time. Let's see if it's still doing it. May have to go scrounge up another power supply from the cabinet since our just the one. Yeah. Since our other one is kaput. What are you guys gonna do when I get a fancy computer and I green screen the couch out? Where is... There we go. Or just make the green screen nothing but couch. I'm gonna need to tighten up this jack a little bit. It's kind of wiggly. Oh, it's already on. ground, though. It's kind of strange, with both power supplies being on the same power strip. Alright, so no chorus. This is a really nice sparkle. As fast as this one goes. Let's combine that with a plate or with a gated reverb. And I'll start getting us more into like 80s territory. Can you describe music without using theory to name chords, notes, scales, and without using adjectives for flavors and textures to describe the tone? Well, I mean, so in terms of describing tones, you're one kind of stuck with adjectives because that's what they do. And given that it's a particular type of sensory experience, I think it's generally easiest for people to directly translate that to some other type of sensory experience. And, smell would probably be a little abstract. But as far as describing music without chords, without using chord names, there are plenty of people that have done that, but it tends to be a lot more literal in most cases. The whole point of theory is that it is a sort of descriptive, a common descriptive language. But I mean, I know tons of people who know no theory whatsoever, but them telling you how to play something is, well, yeah, we're going to play this here chord. Look at this shape, or put your finger on the 5th fret and the 7th fret and the 8th fret, you know. doubling kind of effect with the depth and rate lower. Rick Beato's channel. I've seen a little bit of it. Like he first kind of, I guess his channel got famous because of his kid's perfect pitch. That's the first stuff I remember seeing from him. The drummer that I play with occasionally records and works with him at his studio sometimes. Does some engineering work with him. Never run into him. Haven't, like personally introduced myself or anything to him, but he's been at some stuff that I've been at and I've, waved at him or whatever. Some of his stuff's pretty cool. Some of his stuff to me feels like an old dude rambling. Which, I mean, has its own value. I guess, if you like the sort of stories and things. Hey Smurfco, how are you? The Hawks won. I remember you were saying the other day that it looked like they were going to be pretty good this year. Well, yeah, I mean, that's part of like his, what his job has been over the years as a studio engineer and producer. You wind up knowing a whole lot about what makes what sound and who used what to get this sound and the other. Which is an important thing if you're pursuing specific types of sounds. It's not the be-all, end-all. He's done a couple videos in the past that have kind of gotten him in hot water. He did one where he complained about, or where the video is him complaining, or was titled anyway, like why postmodernism is ruining music. But the entire time he was talking about like atonal composers, which were actually modernist composers and not postmodernist composers. And I think he took that one down or changed the name or something because he got blasted by the internet comment section over it. But I think it's largely a safer bet in most cases. Mostly a safer bet in most cases to stick to things that are concrete, like gear or, theory stuff about, how is this song arranged? How did so-and-so put this song together? It was him. It was a lot of complaining about, like, Schoenberg and guys like that. Yeah, talking about the Rick Beato. Priest asked or said that somebody recommended his channel to him. But that's the only time I can really remember him talking kind of more conceptually, I guess, about music as opposed to like specific compositional techniques or the equipment or the literal technique on the guitar. And it didn't work out really well. I think he sort of jumped on that term because it was sort of the hot term to make YouTube hot takes about. But apparently he didn't really know what postmodernism was. which is understandable because I mean it's a pretty broad and almost inherently vague term, but it certainly doesn't apply, you know, to your 12-tone composers, your atonal composers, etc. Don't need a philosophical. No, I mean, and you really don't. And if it moves you, if you enjoy it, then well, it moves you and you enjoy it. It can be interesting in many cases to learn about, like, if there is a specific, if there was a specific motivation by the person who created it for creating it, or a specific meaning they had for it. But that doesn't necessarily have to change how it impacts you as a standalone work of art. That depends on like the time period for instrumental music. As you go farther back, and you move into the Romantic and Classical period, it becomes a lot more known or a lot more understood what a piece of music and what specific techniques were kind of meant to imply. It's just a lot of that kind of language, you know, has been left behind by culture. You know, so someone who was relatively informed on music and exposed to what we now call classical music in the mid 1800s would kind of instinctively understand, in a certain sense, like what was happening across the course of a composition, because that was sort of part of their language in a sense, the cultural language. These days, that's much more academic. Find him to be a dunce. You know, I think I've said before, I'm not really huge on the YouTube, you know, the music YouTubers in general. There are a few of them that I like. I like early music sources. They're dealing predominantly with pre-Baroque music in many cases. But I find a lot of like the commentator types to be too clickbaity for me, which, you know, YouTube sort of forces you into that if you want to get popular and get views. Yep, I'm drinking Twining's Irish breakfast tea, which I think is an Assam black tea, or a blend. I don't think I've ever even seen a mod. I don't know if they sell it here. The last ones I bought were Taylor's of Harrogate, and you had to drown that stuff in milk because it was just like all tannins. Like if you took a sip of it, it was like drinking an oak tree, and your entire mouth would just like pucker up. I really want to get back to really working again. I want to get myself like a proper tea kettle and everything, and get into loose leaf tea, because that seems like a really good use of my money. But that's the type of nerdy stuff I can get into. I can get behind. Well, you want to drink an oak tree, dude? Go find yourself some Taylor's of Harrogate, especially the Scottish breakfast tea. They have an Irish breakfast tea and a Scottish breakfast tea. And the Scottish breakfast tea was just like, even with milk. The 20 best acoustic guitar solos of all time. You can probably get, I bet if you search around the internet, you can probably get flavoring agents that taste like ridiculous things like that. Isn't there some game that makes jelly beans out of that taste like random disgusting stuff? You can probably find some chemist that has cooked up these assorted flavors. No, I haven't heard of that, but they're like some company that makes jelly beans that taste like fish and shoe leather and weird stuff. So you can trick people and make them eat disgusting jelly beans. Let's try the plate reverb. I don't use it a lot. I think the plate has like a high frequency plate and a low frequency plate. Very shaping. What key is that actually in? And the cat's in the cradle with a silver spoon. Little boy, I'm the man in the moon. When you coming home, son, I don't know when. Da, da, da. If we actually get a $2,000 stimulus check, then I'll probably go ahead and buy the pedal power supply because that's something we really need. But then the rest will have to go into the bank to pay for insurance, pretty much. Do you have a specific Harry Chapin song, Smurfco? Putting it into Bitcoin. that's an A. Oh, I thought the 30,000 pounds of bananas was a response to Death Priest asking what I was going to buy with the stimulus check. I don't think you could get that with $2,000, but maybe. Huh. That sounds really cool. Using my shirt to mute the string. Wait, hold on. Alrighty, let's see. Let's pull up the YouTube. Sweetwater or Amazon, you mean in general for gear purchases? Change profile. Yeah, they tend to be around the same prices. You actually get service with Sweetwater though, for better or for worse. You know, like if you have questions or you need help with something, they are actually useful for the most part. Sometimes a little too useful. Plus, I mean, if you can avoid giving Jeff Bezos more money, why not? And you get free candy. If you like candy. Alright, Harry Chapin, 30,000 pounds of bananas. Yeah, every shipment from Sweetwater, everything you order from Sweetwater will come with a little bag of assorted candies. That's kind of one of their trademarks. Because they're Sweetwater, get it? Oh yeah, we're in C sharp standard, so. Boom, 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 doo 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 doo. Oh, what was that? Yeah, Arizona sweet tea. I guess around here the first thing people think of is Sweetwater Brewery, but I think Keep Watch likes that Arizona tea. No, Capo is definitely not going to work with this tuning. Bends them way, way, way out. Would you play, please? All right, so we have an F. Right, and we're sort of alternating between the bass note, boom, boom, and then the octave. Paul muted, so. Right, that's the diminished fifth and the perfect fifth. In standard tuning, you could play that. You probably want to play that open. And we got just like sort of a little bit of a strum in between. Boom, 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 boom. Then we walk up to a B flat. Boom. It was just after dawn. Oh, do, do. Can't hear if the guitar actually plays the bass walk up. The bass definitely does.
It was just after dark when the truck started down the hill that leads into Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Right, and then that sort of lead guitar is just playing this little hammer on from the minor seventh of the F. So like E flat to F. Then we go up to the B flat.
Started down the hill that leads into Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Just turn the chorus off for the timing. So it sounds like there's a little shift there from B flat major to B flat minor. So it was da da da. So that's sort of two parts going there. We have the one part that's sort of doing the bass, the alternating bass, and the little strums. Then we have one guitar that's playing this little sort of leadish part on top.
Carrying 30,000 pounds. Yeah, carrying 30,000 pounds. Carrying 30,000 pounds.
So we start off a whole step lower. Carrying 30,000 pounds.
Carrying 30,000 pounds.
I gotta transpose this because alright, so F sharp, or I mean F, B flat minor, F, by E flat, then B flat in the first inversion, by A flat minor. Probably played up here though, because we had that sort of pentatonic scale shape for that little lead line on top of it. So
Carrying 30,000 pounds.
yeah, there we go. Right, so this is sort of, if we have this A flat minor shape, or let me just put it in standard tuning so it'll be easier for you guys to follow along. So let's see, where would we be? A noise gate's going to depend on how much stuff you have in your rig, the wiring in the room that you're in. To a certain extent, some gates can help with that, some gates can't, and how much gain you use. If you're using like an amp that has a metric crap ton of gain, a noise gate in the effects loop can help sometimes cleaning it up and making it less noisy and rackety, and can help certain types of playing feel a little bit tighter and cleaner. You know, they're pretty standard features of high gain and heavily processed rigs. No, well, so anytime you have anything that's going to be adding or generating lots of gain, you need some type of noise gate typically to keep it sort of clean sounding and keep it from getting too buzzy. Even if it's software, it's still adding gain to your signal. This guitar is like, what have you done? I've been in drop tunings for so long. So in this case, we don't land in this C minor shape when we're back up in standard tuning. And we're going to do these kind of sixths. They're really inverted thirds. Right, so if we have, say if we imagine our C minor bar chord up here, we have the minor third on the G string on the 8th fret. And then we have the octave on the E string in the same fret. What we're going to do is we're going to go up 8/8, 10/10, then what is it? 12/11. Yeah, 12/11. Want to pick up a nylon string with the amp? We actually usually on Mellow Monday we play a nylon string. I have one in a case right over here, a really nice one. There's also a classical on the couch behind me, which has been here for months. I don't usually play that one on though, because there's no way to amplify it. But I have a hybrid nylon string acoustic electric. It's a great guitar. We used it for the last Mellow Monday for doing "Girl from Ipanema," from doing some bossa nova stuff. Hey Zompo, how are you? But the primary reason why I play electric on string is because I can plug it in and mic the amplifier. While with the acoustics, we've played straight acoustics a few times. It pretty much has to run at the moment through the vocal mic, and it's not ideal, really, for getting the sound across. New job tomorrow? That's awesome. What you gonna be doing? Wow, stainless TIG weld. That's pretty cool. La da 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 da.
Carrying 30,000 pounds.
There's some phaser on that too, which is what's giving it that wow wow. So to get that little first pull off, we have the 2/8s, and then we're pulling off from the 2/10s to the 2/8s. Then we do our up to 12 and 11, 10/10 slide down to 8/8. Carrying 30,000 pounds. So. BMW exhausts. You studied for your test. That's usually a pretty good way to go, as opposed to going in completely unprepared. Oh, the drug test. All right, hold on just a second. Let me take a quick restroom break, and we'll get right back to this. Yeah, that's a pretty weird one. Unless you just had, like, some primo stuff. And this guy was a serious connoisseur. There are some, like, new age types that are into that. Because they believe it helps you recapture certain minerals and stuff like that you lose. So it's good for your health. I think, was it one of the actresses that worked with Bergman, was it Liv Ullmann or BB Anderson? One of them was really into it and talked about it in a bunch of interviews in the 70s and 80s. Man, I missed this guitar. I didn't realize how much I'd missed this guitar. Alright, so let's see. reminds me a lot of the intro of Sturgill Simpson's cover of Long White Line too. The kind of feel that it has. Good, it's audios for Bear Grylls. You go around telling kids at school that like my mom sold my urine to Bear Grylls. Oh man. I think Child Protective Services would suddenly turn up one day. Alright, let's see where we're at in the song. I think he's getting ready to say, of bananas.
1,000 pounds
Ba-ba-no.
of banana.
So that's
Carrying 30
right back into F. Oh yeah, we should update our title. I always forget to do that. La-da-da-da. Get down, I'll put that down now. Alright, so but then back into F. Then it sounds like we're going to do that E flat, B flat over D, down into C minor again.
£1,000 hit a big jump.
So that one starts off on the higher one on the 12-11, and then lands in the C minor. So you could just shift that whole thing up there like that. Hey, Rod, how are you? Inlays. Yeah, you can't do much. You can't do much about used guitars. This is the guitar that I got back from Keep Watch the other day. It's been at his house for probably a year, maybe longer. But it actually sounds really good. Oh, earlier Death Priest was asking about expensive headphones. Didn't you have a really nice pair? Nah.
He was a young driver, just out.
Boom. You get these like pedal steel licks starting to come in. We can kind of fake them. Yeah, those nice Japanese ones. He was asking if $1,200 headphones were better than $12 headphones, which I said, indubitably. The question, really more relevant questions tend to be, at what point do diminishing returns really start to kick in?
On his second job, and he was carrying the next day's base.
All right, let's back this up. All right, so that lick is bending up that sort of major second up through the minor third, slowly enough to really hear the minor third stick out. Right, and then we're catching the minor seventh as part of that bend. You probably do that with one finger. Strings are like, why are you doing this to us? You've tuned us up after years of being majorly down-tuned, and now you're doing pedal steel bends on us. So in this case, I'm bending the string up. I'm taking the major second of the F, the G here, on the B string and the 8th fret, and I'm pushing it up with my ring finger, right? Then I'm catching the G, same fret, with the finger, and letting the bend come down, pulling off to the 5th fret, then back to the F. That gives us that very pedal steely kind of like two strings bending simultaneously kind of effect. If you let them ring out together, you get that, which is really cool. I mean, the Behringers are usually okay. They, for what they cost, they'll work. They're not terribly reliable. I don't know if you'll see a huge upgrade at $50. At like $80, $100, $120, you'll probably see a pretty noticeable upgrade. Past that, you gotta invest another decent chunk before you get another big sort of step up. Get good headphones. Yeah, good headphones for around $100, but don't start getting the really good stuff until $500 or so. But I mean, for games and guitar, if you can invest $100 or so, you'll see a noticeable upgrade in sound quality. I mean, you don't need to go full-blown audiophile for that. I keep wanting to play that Sturgill Simpson song, I swear. That rhythm.
Just out on his second job, and he was carrying the next day's pasty fruit for everyone in that cold Scotch.
Alright, so now we get the 5 chord there. So a little bit different. So we're starting out the same way. F, B flat minor, F. Then it sounds like we're going to do a bend down into C.
Was carrying the next day's pasty fruit for everyone in that cold Scotch city where children play without despair in backyard slag piles and folks manage to eat each day.
Alright. So coming down into a C or a C7. So don't look at Alright, so let's work out. Let me listen to this whole verse and work out the sequence. F, B flat minor, F, C7, F, F7, B flat minor, F. Then there's our little walk down again. Okay, so F, B flat minor, F, C7, F, F7, B flat minor, F, B flat over D, C minor. So you have a little bit different structure, very slightly different structure to this verse versus the sort of intro verse. One and a two and a three and a four and a one and a two and... And so you have that same little kind of like again. no, the free candy is a selling point now. The free candy.
Yes, just about 30,000 pounds. Dream it again, jump. Oh, bananas.
It's pretty much the same. So that sort of little chorus or refrain is basically the same as the first time through. So you have our E flat, B flat over D, C minor, back to F. Then we have E flat, B flat over D, C minor with the little same variation of the riff too, where the second time we start higher. Then it sounds like we're gonna get a little lead. That's like, I like bread and butter. Right, a little bit of a combination of the major and minor blues scales. Sounds like we're starting on the minor third. Then up to major third, perfect fifth, major sixth. Do-do-do-da-da. So yeah, so it's literally all it is. And we still have a little more of that bending, that pedal steel bending in the background. Which we can kind of fake just by dropping in that little pre-bend and release on the minor seventh.
The sign that he should have seen, saying shift the low gear, a $50 fine, my friend.
It's a neat trick he does with the melody. There's a neat little trick he does with the melody too. Something that like you don't expect to hear so much in, you know, kind of a country-ish influenced song. You know, like we do hear the like the parallel minor, the borrowed chord, the 4-4 minor frequently enough, but the way he treats the melody, the way he goes da 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 da, and like actually shifts the melody from major to minor on top of that is kind of unusual. Usually in country songs and pop songs, when they work with those and when they do that borrowed chord, they don't really change the melody that much. You don't hear the scale switch. It makes it a little more sophisticated and a little more of a thing that tweaks the ear, or grabs the ear's attention than it would be if it were just playing the same note, you know, just. But instead we got da 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 da. It's really cool. Depends on how big of a project you're working on. Some of the more heavyweight DAWs and stuff, when you're running 8 million plugins, you know, and dozens and dozens of tracks and whatever, you can seriously eat up a machine. You know, especially if you're also running like multiple soft synths and all kinds of other stuff at the same time. You know, as you're working with, as those tracks get bigger and bigger and more complex, you're working with them, you know, live in the memory. It can help a lot if you have, you know, a ton of threads on your processor. But, you know, big studios that are looking to purchase gear for their studios will tend to pretty much overbuy as well. If they think, you know, the most they're going to need is 32 or something like that, they'll buy double that just to have that headroom. All right, let's see.
He was thinking perhaps about the woman who was waiting at the journey's end. He started down the 2-mile drive. The curved road wound from the top of the hill.
There's our C7.
He was pushing on through the shortening miles that ran down to the depot. Just a few more miles to go. Then he'd go home and have her ease his long cramp the day away. The Stella 30,000 pounds.
We're back to that. So you have a little bit, it's almost like he adds an extra little iteration of one of the verse blocks there. So you have F, B flat minor, F, then our C7, then our F, bam.
Down the 2-mile drop, the curved road that wound from the top of the hill.
Alright, then our B flat minor again, then back to F, then back to C7, top of the hill.
He was pushing on through the short
We stay on the C7, back to F, down through the short ran down. Yeah, so we're adding in like these extra bars there of the 5 chord and then back to the 1 chord before we do our little tag.
to the depot, just a few more miles to go. Then he'd go home and have her ease his long cramp the day away. And the Stella 30,000 pounds.
Yeah. So the 5 chord, and we stay on the 5 chord a little longer. Play a different inversion of it or something like that to give it a little flavor. Then our 1 chord, then our 1 chord is a 7 chord, then back to our 4 chord minor, 1 chord, then our walk down. So it comes, our walk down shows up at a different place and with a slightly different sort of timing leading into how we do it compared to it did in the way it did it in the previous verse. Sort of interesting. So the second verse. So it sort of stretches it out. Now we get a key change. It just moves up. It's like just an instantaneous, just like pull the lever and crank it up a half step. So we have this little major blues lick again. But when we get here, we shift up a half step to F sharp. Reviewing your posture when you're playing. pointed towards the palm of your hand or the opposite way. So, to hold the pick, hold on a second, let me move this off the screen. The story of it, yeah, I guess it does. I guess it does. Right? So to hold the pick, take your fingertip, take your pick, set it on your fingertip so that the tip of the pick essentially is an extension of your fingertip. Right? So not much pick sticking out like that. Curl your finger back, clamp your thumb down on top of it. Hand comes in wherever you happen to be placing it, whether you're floating or resting on the bridge back here. And the tip of the pick is going to be pointing down at the top of the guitar along with your fingertip. You don't want your fingertip curled way back up like this or sticking way out like this. You don't want a straight finger. Now, because my thumb bends back rather than bending down, I'm playing slightly with this edge of the pick. Most people who are holding it are going to be pinching it this way slightly with their thumb turned a little bit, and they're going to be playing kind of on this edge of the pick. But the whole time, the pick, I don't know if you can even see it because I use a very small pick here. I'll change to a darker one so it's more visible. Change to a Petrucci. Right? It's pretty much lined up with my fingertip. Just extending a tiny bit from the finger like this. You know, if your pick is rotating, if it's turning in towards your hand or turning out this way, it's going to be really hard to get kind of like a consistent and smooth sort of alternate picking like this, because the pick is going to try to flex and roll out of your fingers unless you're death gripping it. You don't want to death grip it either. And the same thing with larger picks. If you don't use super small picks like I do, it's still pretty much the same type of grip. You know. It goes, it goes, it goes, it goes, it goes, it goes. Itchy nose. But, you know, they're going to be small adjustments from person to person. Everybody's hands and fingers are going to hold their pick a little bit differently. Don't want it pointing outwards? No. No, I mean, the tip of my pick is almost straight back at the guitar, at the body of the guitar. So that means that gives me a lot of adjustment room. That means I can hit the string completely flat with a pick to maximize the amount of contact I get with the string. Or I can angle it. I can choke or bend my thumb back like this or down like this, right, and use the side of the pick to hit the string. The point is still pointing back at the guitar, but the edge of the string is picking it, which gives us a little more smooth, kind of breathy tone. And lets us do tremolo picking and stuff little more smoothly. If they go perfectly flat, you get a little more contact, you get more weight, you get more of the hand's weight transferred to the string. You get more of a firm kind of tone compared to using the side of the pick, the edge of the pick. But the point is still in line with the finger and still just basically pointing down at the top of the guitar. But I'm kind of continuously adjusting the angle and sort of the bend of the bend of my thumb to adjust which part of the pick is contacting the string and how hard and all that kind of stuff. Right, because the pick is, I mean, that's how you're interfacing with the strings. How you hold it, and every tiny little change in how it contacts the string is going to tell your hands and your ears something different. If you find it turning around a lot while you're playing, you probably have too much pick sticking out, which is one of the reasons why I tend to use the very small picks to sort of minimize that. But if you find the pick moving a lot as you're picking, you're probably sticking way too much pick out and getting underneath the string, and then the pick is hanging and kind of turning in your grip. Right, you only need a very light grip. In fact, like a lot of dynamic control just comes from stiffening your grip. But for normal picking, you hold the thing very, 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 very loosely. Then you squeeze it a little bit tighter, and you start to get more and more volume just by increasing the sort of resistance that the pick has to the string. Like, I'm not actually picking harder at all. I'm just adjusting how much of the string's vibration is being absorbed, how much of the hand's weight is being translated to the string, etc., by how tightly I'm holding the pick. But find a pick material that works well for you too. I like the Ultex pick material a lot. I find it's grippy but not sticky. Like it's got enough sort of texture to it to where it doesn't move easily. You don't drop it easily comparatively compared to celluloid or something like that and some other materials. But it doesn't have holes punched in it. It doesn't have big raised bumps or anything fancy on it. It's just got the little Dunlop Jazz 3 lettering. And I like the tone of it too. It sounds less plasticky than a regular Jazz 3 to me. And way less plasticky than a stubby. And it doesn't have the sort of bright click of a celluloid pick. This is a standard Fender celluloid pick. Which has this kind of click, 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 click off of the string. Which is much more subtle and more natural sounding to me with the Ultex. Sometimes though, if I'm strumming something, if I'm just strumming a rhythm track, then I want that click. And so I'll change specifically to a thinner celluloid pick to get that sound. But for kind of general purpose playing, and especially for lead playing, I tend to not like that. But again, that's personal preference. which nails? I mean, I've had really long nails. You know, when I was playing a large amount of classical guitar, when I was younger, I had super, super long nails. But honestly, I found kind of as time went on that the nails, even if you're going to use nails to play, they don't really need to be all that long generally. And in fact, you can get a lot more color by adjusting your finger angle and bouncing between nail plucking the string and flesh plucking the string. Just by slightly changing your hand and finger angle. Because the right hand, I mean, the pick is what's actually playing the string. You know, the right hand is what is actuating the string, what is playing the rhythm, what is keeping time. And so you want your dominant hand to be doing that, to be the thing that is playing the notes in time with the song. For the most part, you know, if you learn one way or the other, it doesn't matter as much. But I have encountered a few people, I've had quite a few left-handed students over the years. I've encountered a handful of those who absolutely could not learn to play right-handed. The majority of them, if you start them out right-handed, they do okay, they do fine, as well as, you know, your average right-handed student. But the same is, I would assume, true for right-handed people. There are some right-handed people that simply could not play or could not keep time left-handed for whatever reason. But that's the, you know, the reasoning behind it is that your right hand is the one actually playing, actually hitting the strings in time. And so you want your dominant hand doing that. All right, so we just shifted up to F sharp in our song here. All right, we get a little more extended lick. Right, so an F sharp major blues scale. Do-dum.
He was picking up speed as the city spread its green flame lights below him. But it made no heed as the shivering thoughts of the night.
Yeah, speeding up a little bit, right? Starting to get, the whole thing's starting to get a little more urgent feeling. There's more kind of activity in the background instrumentation and the leads and stuff like that. Ba-dum-bum.
Below him.
He's starting to sing it a little more forcefully.
But it made no heed. Lights below him. But it made
Right, and so now our little lick is using those inverted thirds again. Ba, 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 ba. So this is 6th fret, G string and E string, 5th fret, 4th fret, then coming up into the 3rd on the G string, and then 2nd fret on the E. C sharp. All right, so we change it to that C sharp there, and we start to get sort of a little different rhythmic punctuation underneath it. Boom, 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 boom. Instead of our keeping our feel going. Ba-da-boom. It's actually playing. It's just playing an octave, actually. Or depending on what fingering you want to use. And I'm hybrid picking that. Then another little major blues like on top of our F sharp. Right, so then we change back to that C sharp, and we get this major blues lick, or oh, there's a little bend in there. Ba-da-da-dum. So how do we want to finger? That's the question. Probably something like that. So in this case, we have this C sharp major blues scale box shape, right? And I'm using this technique where I'm plucking these damp strings with the pick. I'm muting out the bass strings like this, and then I'm popping the high C sharp down here on the E string. Which gives us that sort of chicken scratch underneath it. So C sharp, A sharp, G sharp, and then I'm bending up right here on the G string, the 8th fret, and letting it come down. So B minor, F sharp, so that's the same lick as the first time through, just a half step higher. Right, our B, B minor, then F sharp, then E, B over D sharp, C sharp minor. That same phrase as before, but a half step higher. F sharp. Then we're up another half step. So we just shift straight up, another half step up to the key of G now. Right, we get this another pedal steel lick here. We're going to play it though. So we're staying on the major. Right, and kind of making our way back down to the low G. All just G major blues. Another speed up. Totally. So our structure's changing a little bit again too. We're playing 1, 4, 4 minor, 1, 1, 4, 4 minor, which in this case is now C, C minor, 1. But then instead of playing our 5 chord, instead of playing C7, instead of playing our 5 chord as a 7 chord, we play our 5 chord as a minor chord. So we changed to a C minor, which is pretty unexpected. You know, we've been doing that when we have our walk down. Ba, ba, ba. Or D minor now, sorry, because we're up a half step. But we're using our minor 5 really as a 5 in this case. Kind of on its own. Really, really, really interesting. So lots and lots of borrowed chords now. So what he's doing is he's taking chords from the parallel minor key. If you hear somebody talk about a borrowed chord, that's borrowing a chord temporarily from another key. And one of the most common ones to do that from, aside from the dominant key, the key that's based on the 5, is to borrow it from the parallel minor. So in the key of G, right, if you remember our lesson we did on the harmonized major scale, our chords by default are G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, or diminished if we just played as a triad, F sharp diminished, and then back to our G major, right? The parallel minor key to that is G minor. We did a lesson as well for Music Theory Monday on the harmonized minor scale. Oh, hold on. Gotta ban a spammer. Bant. Yeah. Right, and when we did that with the minor key, we got a minor 1, so G minor. Our 2 would be an A diminished. Our 3 would be B flat major. 4, C minor, which we're already seeing in the regular part of the verse, that shift from C, from the 4 to the minor 4. That's a borrowed chord from the minor key. Right? Then by default, without modification, our 5 would be D minor, but we typically raise that up to a D7 to give us a stronger need to resolve back to the 1. Right? Then a flat 6, in this case, an E flat major, then an F major, a flat 7, and then back up to our 1 G minor. So what's happening when he gets to this verse? Ba, da, 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 4 minor 4 1, 4 minor 4 1. He gets to this ga da 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 da. He borrows the 5 from the parallel minor. Then he borrows the 3 from the parallel minor and the 7 from the parallel minor, and then resolves it to the major 1. This is a really cool sound. Which he actually does that quite a bit in his music generally. That's a type of change he really likes. Right. So, G major, D minor, B flat major, F, then up to G, da 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 da. We also hear that in like Suffragette City or The Time Warp. We hear similar types of ideas in terms of borrowing chords from the parallel minor. Or Layla too. Layla does that as well in its verse. But it really grabs the attention more so than something that stays strictly in the key would as a rule, you know, because it suddenly your ear goes, wait a minute, that's not in the key. Hold on. Bah. We have these big kind of forceful jumps between these chords. Ba ba ba. All right, let's get the song back up. No, not Discord. And our tempo is definitely like kicking off. Alright, so then it sounds like the second time we end on the 4 chord. B flat, F, F, G, D minor, F, B flat, F, C, C minor, G, 4 minor 4 1 again. Okay, so second time, 1 minor 5, flat 3 major, flat 7 major, then 4 4 minor 1, 4 4 minor 1. So da 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 da. Da 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 da. Yeah, it's pretty entertaining. Pretty entertaining. The kind of like mashup of weird little ideas in here is really cool from a musical perspective. On top of the amusing lyrics. D minor. Back to G major. So there when we go to the 5, we change to a D minor, or D minor 7 really it sounds like. So da, we'll start from the little bridge-ish part of this verse. Da 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 da. Not to mention an arm and Alright, so we have these kind of little octave, like our rhythm drops way down, or our dynamic drops way down. What voicing are we using? Alright, then we start to get these little arpeggios.
Pennsylvania, along the hill, and his speed, mention an arm or two
D minus.
and his speed.
So boom ba boom ba boom ba boom ba boom ba.
For 400 yards along the hill that leads into Scranton, Pennsylvania. All those 30,000.
Right. A little walk down again.
All those 30,000.
Probably play this here. So we have this little arpeggio, very muted. So this is an F. This could be, you could call this a C major in the first inversion, or an A minor in the second inversion, whatever makes you happy, or C over E. And we grab that low C, and then pop up into D minor. Sounds like we do a full little arpeggio of that. So and then our lead guitar does our same little type phrase. So alright, so we're slowing down. We're coming out of this sort of high tempo part, and then we have a Decelerando. We start slowing way down when we get to these octaves. Then we're getting back into our strumming with
You know the man I told you about it on the bus says it went up the hill out of Scranton.
right, so G, and our lead guitar is kind of doing more little major blues scale type patterns. Our 4-chord minor 4-1, then minor 5, so D minor.
He shook his head and he said,
Back to G major.
and this is exactly what he said. Boy,
We're playing just G octaves here.
it sure must have been something. Just imagine 30,000 pounds of banana.
And this is all just G octave with little high. This little inverted third up here with volume swells. Just, you know, be easier with the volume pedal hooked up, but it's not right now.
Yes, there were 30,000 pounds of mashed bananas.
We're up another half step, another half step, and another half step. So you just make our way all the way up to D, basically like a bar per chord, and then shift all the way up to D and stop for that outro. Right, so you got these kind of pedal steel fades. Kind of going on top of this, and then it starts to dun 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 dun. He gets to D and just kind of hits and ends. I think that's it. Yep, looks like it. Like 2 seconds left. So yeah, super cool. Really cool. A kind of a country feel, but with some non-countryish chord changes and some interesting dynamic changes and arrangement things going on in there. Wrong radius for that one. Once Upon a Time in the West. The opening sequence alone, just that opening shot, well, shots, I guess, but at the train station, I think is the greatest thing he ever filmed. I mean, I think on the whole, like just in general, I think just in general, it's a better movie. but purely from like a technical and aesthetic perspective. Like I could just watch that opening sequence over and over and over and over again. It's also fun. It's fun to see Henry Fonda play a villain too. It depends. Are you very small? You know, if you have very small hands and a small torso and short arms, then a 3/4 might be worth looking for. The trouble with 3/4 is it can be kind of tough to find good ones. 5'11", no, you definitely don't need a 3/4 guitar unless you have tiny T-Rex arms for some reason. Or if you want to do, shenanigans with high tunings or something. Three-quarter might be too large still for piccolo. Even you probably want like a half size for a piccolo tuning. You'd also have a hard time. You'd have to get a 12-string set to do that. Or, buy a few different sets or single strings and kind of piece it together. If you do a 12-string set and just do the octave strings plus the E and B, then you get what's called Nashville tuning, which is really, really cool for doing layers and stuff. It's all over old country records, all over like old rock records like Rolling Stones and Pretenders, bands like that. Italians are better at westerns than Americans. No, I mean the Great American Western. I mean, there's loads of amazing films by John Ford, Preston Sturges, all those guys. The Italians were copying them. We're trying to evoke certain things in that style. What the Italians were very, very good at doing were kind of reducing things to like these fundamental aesthetics. They didn't by and large necessarily concern themselves with trying to write the world's deepest characters or plot lines, but they really understood how to make something look compelling. And in the case of film, that's arguably as important as anything. Most of the characters in them tend to be kind of comic book characters. But the best ones are pretty amazing to behold, and the worst ones are usually pretty amazing in terms of pure pulp. So, you win either way. I don't think, for the most part, with the exceptions of some of the best Leone in particular, I don't think they're really as consistently great as some of the great American masters. Westerns are black. Get out. Get out. Just. Band. Underage band. But some of the great, I mean, some of the great Anthony Mann westerns, like you did the Naked Spur. That's in color, in gorgeous color. Several of the great Glenn Ford westerns that he acted in were in color as well. Was the original 310 to Yuma in color? I feel like it was. Oh, Mountain Dulcimer? Hold on. I don't know if that's like a weird version of a Mountain Dulcimer, but just a sec. The Seagull used to make a thing called a strum stick, which was pretty much a dulcimer, but with like a thin body. I always thought it was fun for playing kind of Indian style music on them. Let's see. Somewhere over here. There it is. Oh, hopefully there are no spiders in here. This bag doesn't seal up all the way. So this is a mountain dulcimer, or Appalachian dulcimer. It's really intended to be played in the lap. because I've got big hands, a lot of times I'll just hold it up like this. So. So doubling courses is a good way to get extra volume out of something. It's the same reason that the courses are doubled on a mandolin. You know, they're very high pitched, and traditionally they were relatively quiet. They've gotten more efficient, you know, from the 1920s onward, when they moved more to the archtop type designs and the Gibson type designs, and since then, right? But so this doubled string here, since it's tuned traditionally anyway to the same pitch, gets a little more amplitude than picking the single string by itself. So if I pick just one of them versus picking both, I get a lot more kind of juice out of it. Now these are usually played by sweet old ladies that will bake you a pie. Right, it's pretty cool. These are actually modal instruments too, which are really unusual these days. At least in the West, we don't see a lot of modal instruments anymore. That's why the frets are spaced out the way that they're spaced out. The frets are actually laid out to a mode, in this case the Mixolydian mode, and then most of them will incorporate, most modern ones will incorporate an extra space here, so you get the major seventh. Or depending on how you tune it, you can get, you know, a flat 5 or various other intervals out of it. What? What? But so if we follow the frets, we hear, you know, root, major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, minor seventh, major seventh, then root, and then it repeats itself. Right, until we run out of frets that way. But so basically, as long as we follow the frets, we get the tones of the mode that it's tuned to for the particular fret layout that it has. So it keeps everything very kind of melodic. It's very hard to play something that sounds sort of out or dissonant on it. And a lot of instruments, you know, before the advent of the 12-tone equal temperament system, tended to be laid out more like this. So for instance, the lute, if you want to play the lute and you want to play actual sort of like Baroque and pre-Baroque music on it, the lute frets are laid out to the scale for the piece of music, to the mode for the piece of music that you want to play. Right? So, you know, a song might be in D Mixolydian. You have to actually position the frets to the tuning on a lute in D Mixolydian to be able to play that piece of music. And then reposition them for the next piece of music if it happens to be in a different key in a different mode, which is one of the advantages of the 12-tone system. Like having the octave subdivided into 12 equal half steps let us play all of the modes in all of the keys, right? Instead of being laid out or fixed to a specific mode or its subdivisions, depending on which particular tuning, how many strings you have, etc. For instance, Pythagoras' monochord, the instrument where we first start kind of hearing, or people start discussing the idea of modality and subdivision of the octave, would have been not dissimilar to something like this, but with a single string and with frets. They weren't really frets at that point, but stops, so to speak, for the string that could be positioned at different places mathematically to divide it up into a given mode or scale that he was using. You can play in, it depends on what you tune your strings to. So in this case, the strings are tuned to a root, and it's fifth. So I can play in the mode of the root, I can play in the mode of the fifth, right? Or you can play, if I start here, I can start to get Dorian sounds. I can start to find the other modes of the root that you're working in. But this is typically used for, oh, go telling Rosie, go telling Rhodey, go telling Rhodey, the old gray goose is dead. Simple, traditional little folk songs. If you want to see somebody who could, was pretty amazing with it, you check out Jean Ritchie. She's probably the most important and well-known player of the dulcimer. There are a few crazy people that play jazz and other stuff on them. There's one guy. Oh, what's his name? Can't think of his name right now. But he used to tour around. He used to tour like the jazz circuit playing the electric dulcimer, jamming on it. Go tell Aunt Rhodey. And actually, the traditional way to play it is not even with the fingers, but with these suckers. These little turned wooden fretting sticks. It gives this really buzzy, slippery, slidey kind of sound to it. Right, it's almost Indian. It's really, really interesting in the sort of sounds you can get out of it. These little slips and slides you can do with it are almost like the bends that you would hear on a sitar. you know, a lot of texture you can get out of it. I wish I had a hammered dulcimer. Well, I wish I do and I wish I don't, because there's a lady at the who comes into the music store who plays the hammered dulcimer, and she's got a big one with like 50 strings, and she brings it in once every 2 years or so for us to restring it and tune it, and oh my God, that is more work than it's worth. It's a wonderful, wonderful sounding instrument, but sweet Jesus. Like, it takes probably 2 or 3 weeks to restring it and then get it to stay in tune. Absolutely ridiculous. Other weird instruments? I got a bunch of weird instruments. Yeah, the glissentar, the fretless 11-string guitar oud hybrid. We've played that on stream a few times. The Brazilian ukulele, the cavaquinho, yeah, I still got that on the shelf over there. I have a bandoria, which is kind of like a Spanish mandolin. It needs strings, though, really bad. A couple of them broke. What else? You know, have the old plectrum banjo. Have a few ukuleles. Have, you know, the 7-string bass, which is pretty out there. I don't know. Got a bunch of stuff. Where'd that pick go? There it is. But, you know, I mean, the dulcimer is not really weird. It's just a very old instrument that you don't see that much anymore. But it's been around in this form for probably about 200 years or so. But it's pretty closely related to the zither and a lot of other earlier instruments. I used to have, or I might still have, an auto harp somewhere too, but I have no idea where it's at. I don't know. Let's see. You get the cavaquinho. I think it's just laying up here. Oh yeah. I got a kalimba. This isn't a ukulele, this is Brazilian. See you, Smurf Go. Doesn't want to stay in tune, though. They're actually not guitars. Both the ukulele and the cavaquinho come from a Portuguese instrument called the machete, which is spelled like machete, pretty much. The machete do Braga, which is pretty much a tiny little stringed instrument like this, but it's actually not a guitar. It's actually even smaller, though. It's like this. But the Portuguese carried it with them because it was super, super, super portable. You know, you could put it up, take it on a ship, and sail around with it and have something to do. And in Hawaii, it wound up kind of evolving into the ukulele, and in Brazil, it wound up evolving into the cavaquinho, and a couple other related instruments. But yeah, this has steel strings. Most ukuleles have nylon strings. The This one though needs a little bit of work. The top is lifting up back here. Needs to be re-glued. So the common problem with a lot of instruments made in more exotic environments, when they come to, come here, because the humidity is different, the temperature is different, etc. The glue and wood shifts a lot, and then you wind up needing to do work to kind of keep them together and keep them in proper playing condition. What are those things on the shelves that look like radios? You mean radios? You can hear it's like drifting out of tune as I'm playing it. But these have a very sparkly kind of tone to them. And they're quite often played with a pick. Ukuleles typically aren't. Well, I mean, they are amps. They have radios have amplifiers in them, so these actually mostly have tube amps in them too. Unfortunately, the majority of the smaller tube radios tend to not use tubes that you can use in guitar amps. They can be a good source, though, of vintage tubes if you can find some of the bigger ones of the right models. Why are they on the shelf? Because, I mean, for the most part, given their age, most of those are from the 40s and 50s. There's actually a couple that are a little bit earlier. They're pretty much just decoration at this point. There's actually a few more. There's a couple on top of the pedal shelf over there, and a few on top of my bookshelf over there. We have quite a few. Several just kind of sitting around that aren't as nice to look at. Yeah, just not going to stay in tune. But you can sort of hear, just with the steel strings on this has a much more kind of sparkly and chimey sound. If I get a ukulele, let's see, I think there's one over here. The ukulele has a somewhat different tuning. It uses something called a re-entrant tuning, similar to a 5-string banjo, where we have a high string on top. This has a much softer, almost vocal type of sound, even if we play it with a pick. Internally they're a little bit different. This is a soprano, so it's a little bit smaller as well. A concert or tenor ukulele would be a little bit closer to the cavaquinho. The neck profiles are a little bit different. The cavaquinho typically has sort of a very narrow and kind of deep neck, while most ukuleles are a little bit wider because people will play them with their fingers more. Well, the cavaquinho tends to just be strummed. Sure thing, Keep. It's about time to wrap it up anyway. We're just about to hit 3 hours, so we'll be wrapping it up in just a moment. we could do a whole ukulele stream one day. That might be fun. You can't take the ukulele seriously. Why not? There's some pretty amazing ukulele players. Like, I mean, just right off the the top of your head, there's Jake Shimakaburo, who does like full blown transcriptions of Bohemian Rhapsody on the ukulele. Not to mention all the amazing traditional players who play traditional Hawaiian music on it. Or George Formby, like one of my unironic musical heroes, George Formby. Or another one of my unironic musical heroes, Roy Smack. Played a bunch of instruments, ukulele, guitar, banjo, etc. But unbelievable. There's a video of him, a cameo he did in a film from like maybe the late 30s or 40s, something like that, where he sits down and he plays a couple different instruments and plays the ukulele, and he freaking taps, like finger taps, on the ukulele. In the first half of the 20th century. Taps, harmonics, all kinds of crazy stuff. It became kind of like the trendy instrument for a few years. You essentially play it like a guitar. In most of its tunings, it's played like a guitar minus the top two strings, more or less. So if a G chord is this shape on ukulele, you can just use this shape, though in this tuning it would be a C. So you can just kind of pick it up. It's super small, it's super light, you can go anywhere. It sits under the voice very nicely if you're going to sing, because it doesn't have a very percussive or abrasive sound most of the time. So if you want to just cover, Hey Soul Sister or whatever, or what was the other song that was exactly the same chord progression as Hey Soul Sister but a different guy? That hey, 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 whatever it was. That was a huge hit. But we sold at the music store. We sold a ton of ukuleles when those songs were on the radio. A ton of them. I hope more people appreciate satanic black metal. I don't know. You got me, man. But yeah, so a pretty different sound to the cavaquinho. But they do both have the same roots. If you go look up the machete, the Portuguese machete, you'll kind of see the instrument they came from and sort of see how they evolved from them. My kalimba is actually slightly broken, apparently. I was going to show you guys the thumb piano, the African thumb piano. But something is knocked loose inside of it and it's rattling. And I need to tune it too. Someone has moved the tines a little bit. These are pretty neat. It's essentially kind of like the tines are fixed underneath this bridge here to different lengths to give you the different tones that you're playing. But somebody must have dropped this at some point. I don't think it was me, because I would remember, but it was laying on the shelf like this. You do some pretty neat things with these too, though. But anyway, we're at over 3 hours, so we probably better wrap it up. Thank you guys for hanging out. Make sure, if you're not in the Discord, that you get in the Discord, not the Discrod. Most of these have come from yard sales, flea markets, people that have brought them into the music store that I've worked at and just wanted to get rid of them. Because a lot of times with these instruments, people didn't even know what they were. They wound up with it because some relative left it there or this, that, and the other, and they just wanted to dump it. So, like, I bought this for $2, I think. I bought the cavaquinho for $20. Ukuleles, obviously, people know what they are, and so I've bought several at yard sales, several old ones that need varying degrees of work from the 60s, 50s, and 60s. That one, the one I was just playing, is a more recent one that I bought actually for my sister. But yeah, just kind of all over. You just have to learn to keep an eye out for stuff. Sort of learn what things are and what they were. This is the same with guitars in general. The more sort of informed you are on them, the more better position you are to take advantage of deals when they pop up. That's how I've wound up with so many. Is just walking through a pawn shop or a thrift store or whatever and seeing like, oh hey, that's a X, Y, or Z. It's worth A, B, or C. I guess I should buy it. And then I flip them if I don't like them for whatever reason. I flip them and then put that towards something I do like. A little buzz there. But anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to call it a night. So thank you guys for hanging out. We'll be back Wednesday with something. I don't know what we're due for this Wednesday. I think we're due for Weeb Wednesday, maybe. But make sure to check out the socials down there too. Follow the YouTube if you haven't followed the YouTube or the Instagram for more fun guitar content. And I'll see you guys Wednesday. Garage sale should be elite. Don't give them any ideas. Don't give them any ideas. It'd probably be state governments though that would go after the garage sales more so than the federal government. But anyways, I'm out.